PBS NewsHour has obtained the 28-point plan drafted by the Trump administration to try to end the war in Ukraine. The document is at the center of a pivotal ongoing diplomatic visit to Kyiv by U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll. It references Ukrainian security guarantees, but also demands Ukraine give up territory, cap the size of its military, and blocks NATO from sending troops to Ukraine. U.S. officials emphasize it is a working document. Here's Nick Schifrin with more.
Today in Ukraine, grief. Residents of the western city of Ternopil honored children killed yesterday by a Russian missile that cut this apartment building in half. It's the kind of attack that has pushed Ukraine to demand punishment. But the Trump administration says it's pushing for peace. Secretary of the U.S. Army Dan Driscoll, the Army's civilian leader, is in Kyiv on an unusual diplomatic mission.
Nice to see you. You're very welcome.
And today gave Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky a new American framework. It would include security guarantees that Ukraine has been demanding, but the Trump administration has made clear both sides will need to make compromises, and the full 28-point plan, received and provided to PBS NewsHour by a senior European official, not only includes security guarantees for Ukraine, but also longstanding Russian demands. Ukraine would have to limit the size of its military. NATO would not be allowed to send any troops into Ukraine. And Ukraine would have to give up the portion of the Donetsk region that it still controls, that Russia has failed to capture despite 11 years of war. That territory would be internationally recognized as Russian, but demilitarized. That would give Russia control over the entire Donbass. The U.S. would then recognize the Donbass, occupied Crimea, and the occupied portions of Zaporizhia and Kherson as de facto Russian. In addition, NATO would change its language to not admit Ukraine in the future. The U.S. would lift sanctions on Russia in stages and on a case-by-case basis. All parties would receive, quote, full amnesty for their actions. And $100 billion of frozen Russian assets would be earmarked for Ukrainian reconstruction. Tonight, Zelensky said he would negotiate off the text presented by Driscoll constructively.
We agreed that our teams will work on these proposals to ensure it's all genuine. We will not make any sharp statements, and we're geared up for clear and honest work.
Good afternoon, everybody.
At the White House, spokesperson Karoline Leavitt said the 28-point plan had been quietly developed over the last month by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
They've been engaging with both sides, Russia and Ukraine, equally to understand what these countries would commit to in order to see a lasting and durable peace. The president supports this plan. It's a good plan for both Russia and Ukraine, and we believe that it should be acceptable to both sides.
On a rare trip to the front line, Russian President Vladimir Putin maintained his version of what's acceptable, once again describing Ukraine's government as illegitimate.
A group of individuals, this criminal group, an organized criminal community that has usurped power, and under the pretext of the need to continue the war with Russia, is holding power in Ukraine for personal enrichment. But we all have our own goals. The main one, of course, is achieving the goals of the special military operation.
But for the European countries that have collectively provided as many weapons to Ukraine as the U.S., the U.S.'s 28-point plan missed the main point. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas.
The pressure must be on the aggressor, not on the victim. Rewarding aggression will only invite more of it. The EU has a very clear two-point plan. First, weaken Russia. Second, support Ukraine.
French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot.
Mais la paix, ça ne peut pas être la capitulation.
Peace cannot mean capitulation. We do not want Ukraine to surrender. As you can imagine, the Ukrainians who have heroically resisted Russia's uninhibited aggression for more than 3 years will never accept any form of capitulation.
And tonight, White House spokeswoman Karoline Leavitt released a statement that concludes, quote, "This plan was crafted to reflect the realities of the situation after 5 years of devastating war to find the best win-win scenario where both parties gain more than they must give." Amna?
Nick, I know you've been talking to officials and analysts to get their take on this plan. What are they telling you?
A senior European official who hopes to help Ukraine resist Russia believes that Europe can help edit these points so that they are more pro-Ukrainian. And analysts who are along those same lines fear that there's too many poison pills in this plan. Number one, it limits the size of the Ukrainian military while not putting any limits on the size of the Russian military, and the language on non-aggression is really non-enforceable, as one person put it, meaning Ukraine will not be self-reliant in the future. Number two, no punishment of Russia for widespread war crimes, despite language in there that we reported about $100 billion of currently frozen assets going for reconstruction, and changes NATO's constitution. Very difficult. Analysts who want this to work tell me, look, there needs to be a concrete framework for Ukrainian security guarantees if this is ever going to work.
Nick Schifrin, great reporting as always. Thank you.
Thank you.